It's 5:14, so can this budget turn the tide for the federal government? On the line is the Liberal federal member for Mackellar, Jason Falinski. G'day, Jason. Welcome back to Drive.
G'day, Jim, and the answer is yes, it can.
Righto.
Shortest interview of your time.
So are you adamant that it can? Because right now, you know, Labor's sitting pretty as far as winning the election in May, but you think this could turn the tide?
Mate, I do. I think, look, absolutely we're the underdogs. So no one should be under any delusion otherwise. Labor's got a lot of money behind it from the union movement, from Big Super, from Simon Holmes Court and the Climate 200 activists. So we know we've got a job ahead of us. But I think at the end of the day, Australians are no fools, and they know the difference between a slogan inside a cliche, covered in other people's money, versus real solutions to the things that are concerning them and their families, and that's what this budget will be about. Okay,
the fuel excise is being cut, 10 to 20 cents a litre we might save, so that's a good thing. But are you confident that the big fuel companies, Jason, will pass this saving on to consumers?
Mate, I'm very confident of that. I mean, and I know a lot of your listeners will be rolling their eyes at me, etc., but this is one of the most investigated areas of the Australian economy. And if your local service station isn't passing the cut on, just go to the next one or the one after that, because competition will drive prices down very, very quickly. So, yeah, I'm very confident that that's what will happen. And I know your listeners, like many of the people in my community, are pretty clued up about how to spend their money and where they spend it. So they'll make the best choices in their best interest.
Okay, the PM could head to Government House on as early as the weekend to call an election. He's called for unity in the lead up to the election. Is your party room united?
Yes, it's massively united. And we're united because we want to deliver a better country for all Australians. That's the thing that is driving this government more than anything else. Now, Jim, I know that there'll be some people who say, oh, well, it hasn't been terribly united over the last 3 years. But we have faced a global pandemic, uncharted territories, and, Australia comes out at the end of it with the lowest death rates, the highest vaccination rates, the lowest unemployment, and the highest growth rates. Now, Anthony Albanese calls that a failure. Well, if that's a failure, this country needs more failures like that, because it's nowhere else in the world have people succeeded like this country has. And that doesn't just come down to the government. It comes down to the effort of ordinary Australians who, when times were tough, put their heads down and their bums up and got on with the job.
Will the PM join you on the campaign trail in Mackellar?
Mate, well, to be honest with you, I think there are places that he could go where it'll be better, of more use than Mackellar, but I'm always happy to stand next to the Prime Minister wherever he happens to be.
Why is it Dave Sharma doesn't want him in Wentworth?
Mate, I don't think that's the case. I mean, he was... I
think he's opted for Josh Frydenberg to be on the campaign trail. Why is that? Why would he not go with...
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the Prime Minister can't be everywhere. I mean, we'd love to clone him and put him everywhere.
Sure.
But the fact of the matter is, you've got to use your resources as best you possibly can.
But this is his home city. I mean, it's Wentworth on a knife's edge, especially with a challenge from a strong independent. You'd think that in his home city being Scott Morrison, you'd be right beside shoulder to shoulder with Dave Sharma.
Mate, every day I looked up for the last 3 months, he's either standing next to Dave Sharma or standing next to Fiona Martin. I mean, the other day he was out with Sarah Richardson, and the day before that he was out with Melissa McIntosh. I mean, we've got candidates to be selected in Hughes and Parramatta. He'll go and spend time with them. I mean, these are the places where we need to win votes. Absolutely. I have no doubt, and he's got to win seats across the country. So, look, New South Wales is going to be the key state, I think, in this. If we can win seats in New South Wales, we'll retain government. If we can't, then it's going to be tough for us.
I'm speaking with Jason Falinski, the federal member for Mackellar. Now, Jason, it's happened again. A bit of rain hits Sydney, and as we go to air, the Wakehurst Parkway is once again closed in both directions. I mean, I know you've been banging on about this for a long time, and rightfully so. It's just madness.
Mate, let me be direct with you. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace that one of the major roads between people north of Mona Vale, north of Narrabeen, frankly, and the major hospital in the area, the billion-dollar Northern Beaches Hospital, one of the best hospitals in Sydney, too often is cut off due to flooding. Now, council has been given money from by the state government and by the federal government via the state government for flood mitigation projects. It's been over 10 years. It is time they got on with the job and fixed this, rather than people being put in dangerous situations like they are at the moment.
Yeah.
Recently, we announced $150 million for upgrades to Wakehurst Parkway. That's co-funding from the federal and state government. That'll start next year. I see no reason why after 10 years that work on flood mitigation that the council has the money to do. I mean, mate, they've spent more money on studying the problem than it would cost to actually fix it.
Yeah, very frustrating. Very frustrating. Yeah. Absolutely. Before I let you go, now we spoke to Philippa Cave earlier, who's in Balgala. She's a resident in Balgala. Her parents are losing their home in compulsory acquisition for the Northern Beaches Link. But now we've learnt that the New South Wales government is probably going to delay the project. So why can't the New South Wales government, Jason, delay the compulsory acquisition of Philippa's elderly parents' home?
Well, they should. They absolutely should. There is no reason. I mean, our first goal here should always be to inconvenience people as least as possible. If Beaches Link has been delayed, and I understand that there aren't enough boring machines in the country and we can't get labour because the border's closed and all that sort of stuff, I understand their rationale for doing it. I don't like it, but I understand it. But at the same time, I don't understand why you would force people to leave the homes that they've been living in for a majority of their lives when the project's been delayed.
Well, the project might not even go ahead. I mean, if Labor wins the next state election, they're going to scrap it. So meantime, the Caves could be booted out of their homes, and already residents have left their homes way under market value and had to go elsewhere. It's just, I find this completely and utterly, totally a cop-out from the state government.
Mate, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm with you on that one.
Will you raise your concerns with anyone at state government level about it?
Absolutely. Look, I didn't know about it until you've raised it with me. Once budget's out of the way, I will ring the appropriate minister. I suspect it's Matt Keane, and ask him directly why this is still going on. Yeah,
well, I think it comes under Transport New South Wales and also probably under Rob Stokes as well, the planning minister. So again, I know you're a very strong voice for the Northern Beaches, so we'll pass on all the details and hopefully you can help these poor people out.
Mate, I will absolutely do that. So thank you.
Good on you, Jason. Thanks for joining me, mate. That's Jason Falinski, the federal member for Mackellar. It is 5:21. Let's check the roads.